Feels good to get one of those. It feels really stinking good to get one of those. We are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports. Hope all of you are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. Every post-game show is brought to you by our good friends over at betonline.ag. Use that promo code BELIEVE50. That's BELIEVE50, BLEAV50 to receive 50% off of your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Also brought to you by our good friends over at the Athletic Collection. You want signed stuff from some of the guys, some of the baseball players that you saw here tonight? You can do that. All you have to do is go over to the Athletic Collection. They have it all for you. You want signed stuff from Bear Jones, who had 3 walks tonight and hit a long ball. You can do that. So many others. I think some trading cards have been signed with Luke Holman. The Athletic Collection. You can use that promo code AYS to get 20% off of your order. So last night at the end of the show, I said I felt very confident that you were going to win the series. After tonight, clearly, I feel a lot better after what we just saw. Look, man, I know it's Mizzou. I know that they are not great. I know that they're not just a good team. Now, I know that they also came off a weekend not too long ago where they swept Florida. All of that being said, okay, I look at this performance because anytime that you run rule somebody, it's impressive. I mean, bottom line, it's impressive. Not one out was recorded in the outfield tonight by LSU. Gage Jump was absolutely exceptional. We're going to talk about him, but I got to get to the hitting first, okay? So we'll do that. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share. If you're on Facebook, share to all those groups. Share to all of those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcasts. Rate, review, and subscribe. Let's start with the Tigers at the plate tonight. I don't think that you faced how do I want to say this? I think that this was I don't want to say worst, but not the best Friday night guy clearly that you have seen. With that being said, it doesn't matter when everybody in your lineup gets a hit. Milam gets his first home run. Paxton Kling is hitting the ball hard. And quite frankly, he had kind of shown some signs of late where he kind of started coming into one. Now, can they continue? Again, I'm not going to overreact to one win versus Mizzou, but what you saw tonight is what you're supposed to do against a bad team. I look at Larson, who hit an RBI double, a ground rule double in the first to get things going. That comes off an infield single from Tommy White in a walk by Bear Jones, where you could have scored 2 that inning if it had not been for the ground rule double. I look at the second and the home run by Brady Neal into right field, and the wind was blasting. They said the wind was blowing to right field. It was, but if you watch the flag, the ball was the flags were actually blowing to right field, but more in. So Brady Neal really had to get a hold of that one. I look at Stephen Milam coming up in the top of the third with his in a 3-1 count, getting his first home run of the year, which pretty much let it off because you got back-to-back walks by Jones and Larson. Larson actually got a walk off of a 1-2 count. Pretty impressive. Then Hayden Travinski on the first pitch he saw launched it over the right center field wall for 3 runs. Then Braswell RBI double, Kling RBI double, and Milam would ground out to second. Guys, it's an overall really good performance, and you got a good performance all from everybody. Now, Milam struck out a pair of times. Okay, maybe a little off tonight. It is what it is. But when anytime you do that to any team in the SEC, I'm going to take it as a big win. Because we know that, okay, You played a tough schedule. It was rough on you. You finished, and you were able to get to the next level. But I will remind you again, they're not a good team. I don't really care. I mean, because you did what we all thought you had the potential to do. And if you have the potential to that, can you win this weekend? Can you continue to put some really good things together now that you're out of that gauntlet? Maybe you can. It's going to take a lot, dude. I mean, look, it's going to take a lot. But this is a very good first step getting in the right direction. Let's talk about Gage Jump. Look, you're facing a lineup that has two really good hitters. You saw the leadoff guy in Daniels is hitting over 400 or was hitting over 400 coming into the game. Also, Lovich was hitting well. And then their cleanup guy in Austin leads the team, if I'm not mistaken, with 9 or 10 home runs. Gage Jump was electric tonight, both in 2 innings. In the first and in the, I want to say it was the fourth. No, the sixth. No, it was the fourth. Where Gage Jump struck out the side. I mean, looked good doing it. Had some command. Was throwing a lot of strikes. Was really dotting the fastball wherever he wanted. Really good. Now, it's not the best lineup he's going to see. It's not the best lineup he's seen. That's for damn sure. It's not going to be completely the worst. You know, I mean, just overall really good performance by Gage. And here would be my question of the night before I get to a lot of your comments. Here's my thought. And I would love to get yours. So put it inside the chat if you do not mind. But here's my thought, okay? It's pretty simple. Does this game build and start building your confidence? You know, I saw the emotion that Hayden Travinski had when he hit that 3-run bomb, right? Like every pimped up frustration that he had came out, and quite frankly, all of us have been there in our lives, right? Where you hit a breaking point and then you have some success in something and the emotion comes out. Maybe not all of you are like that. I know that I am, you know, an emotional human being. But I felt it in my core. I'm like, man, there is nobody happier than Hayden Travinski right now in the world, maybe. So I'm happy for him. I'm happy for this team. I will tell you, I think I'm pretty sure I tweeted this out, or maybe I put it on Facebook. I can't remember. Like in any one, I was like, man, this team seems a little bit more focused than I normally like. Before a ball was even thrown, a bat was even swung, you could kind of see something different in them, in their eyes. And you know what's funny is I think that there are a couple of things. Jay being a little bit more like taking a deep, okay, we're out of that gauntlet. But I don't know what Jay didn't see in practice this week because he had more pep in his step. Maybe because he knew that Mizzou was just not a good team, but confidence in baseball is a deadly, deadly weapon. Deadly weapon. And you run rule a team that you should have run ruled. And kind of validates a point where, hey, man, you were in a lot of these games, okay? And maybe and finally tonight you closed the door. Does that give this young team to some extent and some of these veterans more confidence moving into tomorrow? Now you got Luke Holman going tomorrow. Boy, do I feel confident about that. Let's see what they do on Sunday. But you can't sweep if you don't get win one. And at this exact moment, I just want to win tomorrow and win the series. But, man, if you got your ace going tomorrow, and it's a big deal, a very big deal, because you can win this series. Not only that, you can't, let's go for the jugular because you need to. You need to. You got to go for the jugular here and end this one. All right, let's get rolling with some of these super chats. Got a lot of them in here. Penn Jones says, best pitching performance of the year for us. It's definitely one of them. I mean, there was a game, wasn't it, that Holman had what was it, 13, 14 strikeouts. I thought that was really good. But Gage, technically complete game, 7 innings, not one out recorded into the outfield. I mean, I think Penn Jones makes up probably a really good argument here. I don't know if he's not wrong. I could agree with him there with Penn saying that this is the best pitching performance of the year. Probably either that one or the one with Holman. But I would agree tonight was really special. Thank you, Penn, for the super chat. Black Mamba Ram with a $20 super chat. Thank you so much. He says, it's about time everything came together. Gage showed up with his best of his career tonight, 14 Ks. And welcome back, Kling. Bats weren't shy tonight. Glad we saved all our relieving pitchers. Yeah, and let's add on to what Black Mama just said. Thank you for the super chat, my man. I greatly appreciate it. I'm going to add on to that. It's not like weather can play a factor in things, right? Like weather always plays a factor in stuff, especially in this sport. With that being said, I mean, you're coming from a warmer climate in Louisiana. Guys, you got dudes wearing jackets up there, and they're pissing all over the ball. You know, the last time going to Como, I think it was with Maneri. Maybe I'm wrong, but the one that sticks in my mind the most is that year when they went with Josh Smith and the boys, and they were all bundled up, and they couldn't do shit. Well, guys, you got people out there with blankets and jackets tonight, and it's April the 19th. Right? Like, I mean, guys, it's past mid-April. It's past tax day. So, good. I agree with that. I also agree with Mamba, who sent in a $2 super chat. He said, Blake, we need to sweep Missouri and Auburn. If we do that and you get 6 wins there, so thank you for the back-to-back super chats, my man. If you could do that. Now, look, so it's a lot to ask. Okay, like, look, we just got our first win. Let's win the series. But I agree with you. We need to. We 1,000% need to take it one game at a time. You win the series. You go for it all on Sunday to get the sweep. You get 6-12 in the conference, and then you start maybe feeling a little bit better about yourself, right? Maybe if you sweep it, you can lose a series to get to 13, right? Like you could lose to Texas A&M and get to 13, but that's that magic number. However, you sweep against Mizzou, you sweep against Auburn, man, right? Like then you really feel good about yourself because then you're 9-12, and then you're only 4 games away from getting to that 13 number. Hell, can you do more than that? Right? Can you do more than that? I would assume if you're starting to do that, you go into an A&M weekend where that sumbitch going to be packed. The box is going to be packed because not only do you need the wins, but you probably have the number 1, number 2 team in the country coming in. I mean, Texas A&M is the number 1 team in the country right now. You have them coming in. So, yeah, I agree with that. Thank you, Black Mamba, for both of those super chats, man. I really appreciate it. John Sibley Butler with a $20 super chat. Thank you so much, good friend. Says, Blake, which SEC team is more likely to have a second part of the season slump? I think maybe Florida, but I say that, and then they're, maybe they won't. What was that Arkansas game tonight? What happened with Arkansas tonight? I saw Hagen Smith and the boys were battling. I'm unfamiliar with what happened to them. I did think, I'm going to be honest with you, I was like, damn, Kentucky is going to lose to Tennessee on a Friday night. And if I'm not mistaken, they sure as shit didn't. I'd have to go look at it. But I feel like it feels like Florida when you watch them. It feels like Florida. Let me look this up because I can't track everybody at once. Oh, Arkansas did come back. And A&M beat Alabama back to back, didn't they? Back to back games today. Shit. God dog it, man. They're so good, dude. They're so good. All right, let me get it here. Hold on. Because the SEC website's freaking tripping. They freaking tripping, y'all. Yeah, Kentucky won 5-3. Mississippi State won 8-1. Vandy won 5-2 tonight versus Florida. Georgia put it all over Ole Miss. Donkey dicked them. Pause. 17-6. And I'm pretty sure A&M won both games. Did they not today? Damn. But yeah, Arkansas won 2-1. How about that? Man, you got to hate Arkansas. You got to hate Arkansas. Chance Babin says Texas A&M scored 29 runs in 2 games. That's insane. Some people wanted to ask some football questions. You know I'm always going to take football questions. If you got a football question, you can ask it. Alex Cormier says, kudos to Gage Jump. Yeah, great performance tonight. Really, 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 really good performance tonight. Really happy for him. Really, really, really happy for him. Stephen Young says, if we are going to get this version of Jump moving forward, things are about to change. Look, I don't want to be that guy, but let me be that guy for just a moment. I think we need to take a step back and look, one game, okay, against an opponent that's not really good. If he does it next week, then okay, right? Like, I kind of want to I want to temper expectations for just a moment because you're more. Look, they have a better record than you in conference. They did not play the gauntlet that you played to start the season. You just went through a hell of a gauntlet. Now, if they did it next week, you do it once, okay, you show me you could do it. You do it twice, okay, then it's a trend. I don't want to go that far yet. I don't want to go because we could be sitting here next Friday and be like, Blake, you son of a bitch, you gave me hope. And I know y'all have done it to me before. In which my retaliation always is, do you want me to pull up your comments from last Friday night? No. No, I don't. Brandon Reed says, I know people may not be impressed with beating Missouri, but at this point, beggars can't be choosers, especially after losing 5 straight conference series. Ain't that the damn truth? Ain't that the damn truth? Cortez Herman, what's up, Cortez? Or Herman Cortez says, so happy for these guys. They have to keep it going. There's still a good chance we can make a little noise the remainder of the season. That's very true. I did see more emotion from the players. I agree, and we just talked about that. More focus, more emotion. And I am pleased with the way that Larson is making contact. Good show. I agree with Herman there. Their body language was a lot different. I'm not just saying that because you won tonight. Look, they won, was it 2 Friday nights ago against Vandy, and I came out here and told you I thought their body language from the first inning looked like dog shit. And I do think I do think there was a lot more emotion. I do. Thought there was a lot more focus. Stephen Young says, but they did sweep Florida and we lost to Florida. That's true. I don't know if we can use transitive property like that, but I understand. If you got a football question, yes, you can ask. Coy says, does Griffin start tomorrow? No, Luke Holman starts tomorrow. And I would expect Griffin Herring to come out of the pen. I don't think I agree with a good buddy of mine. I think that where Griffin would be a good probably starter in like minor league ball, I think that you need to use him coming out of the pen because he's been so good there too. So, no, you got Holman. The question would be, would you start him on Sunday if you're not going to use him? Maybe you do start him on Sunday. Give him a chance. If you win a series, give him a chance. But let me tell you this. Let me say this too before I get to a couple more of y'all's comments. If you're in a situation tomorrow where you're looking like you need to win, okay, I'm not saying not give Griffin Herring the start. I'm not saying all that. But if you won tomorrow, I would go all in and it, like say if Holman gives you 6 innings and you're up 8-1, I wouldn't throw Griffin Herring. I would piece it together to then get you to Sunday and then get to Griffin Herring. Either you start him or you get him to come out of the pen on Sunday. Whatever you wanted, whatever Jay wants to do. Because I would want to do everything humanly possible to get that win and sweep. And look, you have a lot of options right now. You use nobody out of your pen. So what do you do with Ackenhausen, who gave you 4 or 5, or was it 4 1/3 strong innings on Sunday, last Sunday? Do you get in a place where you could go Ackenhausen, and then if Ackenhausen does get in trouble, you don't feel bad about having to keep him in? You can go straight to Herring. That's what I would do. Now, again, that's a big thing tomorrow that you got to win. And look, you don't mess around with them now. But look, Florida got swept because they were like Scar from The Lion King, kept playing with his food. Don't play with your food. Go kill him. Not okay. That's going to get clipped, and I'm going to get killed. End it in the series. Like don't let up. I like tonight, so they got a big inning in the third where they scored and it was 6-0, and they continued to keep going. They didn't take the pedal off the metal. Like top of the fourth, single up the middle. Jones with a 2 RBI home run into center field. Larson gets a double in the right field. A fielder's choice by Travinski. Bingham would single. Braswell or Neal would fly out. They score a run. And then Braswell would ground out to third base. The top of the sixth, I mean, you were pushing. Travinski got an RBI fielder's choice, but Bingham, Neal, and Braswell all struck out. But you still scored another run. I don't care what it really looks like. If you're scoring a run every inning, I'm going to love the shit out of it. And you got crooked numbers tonight. Cortland Jacobs says this is Florida's 3rd straight series loss and has Arkansas next. Jesus. And says that they could lose 7 straight. They got Kentucky, Georgia. Florida has a hell of a gauntlet to finish. There you go. Where you do not. Todd Davis says, Blake, it really just takes one game and you can reel off a ton. You can. You can, man. And baseball's a funny game. What was it, a year or 2 or 3 years ago, whenever the Ole Miss thing was, what was it? It was tweeted out. I saw it on Twitter where it's like 3 years ago on this day is where Ole Miss baseball turned their season around to go on to win a national championship. Okay. I'm not saying that that's what you're going to do, but you've seen it in recent history. I'm not saying you're going to win a national championship, but in a turnaround, look, man, the only goal that I want for this team right now at this exact point is just to make it to the postseason. When you make it to the postseason, guys, anything can happen. I mean, anything can happen. And you're not going to go majority of the time. This is what happens. You're probably not going to go to a regional with a team from your conference. Now, you might get them in a super regional, more than likely, but could this team go out west and win a regional? You're damn right they could. Could they go to Lafayette and win a series? Yeah, they could. And let me tell you this: if they find a way to do that, and Jay's, after Jay won a series with a World Series with that team, and the downfall was him getting to a supers, I'm going to let you son of a bitches that were saying fire Jay Johnson. I'm going to let you son of bitches have it. You're going to have to block AYS. Because I'm going to be all over your fucking ass. Fire Jay Johnson. Idiot. Idiots. All right, here's a football question. Stephen Young says, my football question is this. DT is the most critical position it is. He says, I know we got Paez. We did. But I think we need at least the Michigan State DT. Well, that's not going to be easy. Okay. And he said, I'd also love the TCU DT. Okay. Do you think we get both? No, I do not. What was the old pimp song? Hell no to the no. Hell to the no. I think you're going to get one of them. I don't think you can get both of them. I don't think you can get Williams and Barrow. If you do, let me tell you what's going to happen. No, let me say this too. Strictly opinion. No, I don't think that you can. I'm worried about you just getting one of them. Right? Because listen, there are a lot of other teams going after that ass. I just want one. And look, if you got, I don't think you're getting those two. Okay, here's what I'll say. If you got CJ West, and then you got one of either Williams or got Barrow, which I like Barrow more than I like Williams personally, then you're going to be cooking with grease. Then you're cooking with grease. I feel a lot better. To be real with you, I feel so much better with where you're at. Now, how do those two dudes come in, especially like a guy like CJ West? How does CJ West transition from Maction to the SEC? It's a big question mark. I'm not so worried about Barrow because he played at Michigan State. And look, man, the Big Ten's got some really freaking good offensive linemen. Really freaking good. And Williams played against teams like Texas, Oklahoma, and it was all Big 12 performer with guys, by the way, first team. And let me remind everybody, that's also with Texas, who was going to probably have 2 first-round picks. Okay, he got the first team nod. I will just remind everybody. So, no, I don't think you're getting both. I think if people are telling you, and look, can I be wrong on that, Stephen? Yes, because I don't know what I don't know in this aspect. I don't know what I don't know in. I don't like saying stuff like, oh man, if we just get this guy or that guy or do whatever in recruiting before a visit even happens. Let me tell you something that's the biggest line recruiting. Everybody that 95% of the time when someone tells you something before a visit happens in the transfer portal, it is always bullshit. Always. Secondly, there are situations that if a kid is going to, like to a visit, you will know he's committing and will be committing before he gets here. because the coaches won't keep it quiet. Now, Brian Kelly's administration is not as leaky as Orgeron's was. Orgeron let Panamsky turn on a faucet and let that sumbitch drain. That's how many leaks that were coming out of that place. And really, the sourcing that we built AYS off of, breaking this, and this, came off of Orgeron and Panamsky could not keep their fucking mouths shut. They tell this guy, they call, or here's the truth. Orgeron would make a hire and would call boosters and brag about it. And then what do you think those guys did? They would go to Tiger droppings. They go tell all their buddies. That's how every time when Ed was making a move, you knew everything. See, like, for example, you really didn't know who all Brian Kelly talked to about the OC position. Now, he elevated Joe Sloan, but I'm just going to tell you a little secret. Ain't all he talked to. But he kept that shit so locked down like Fort Knox, you just didn't really know about it. And when you would get it confirmed, BK would get that shit shut down. Hey, man, I don't want this out there. Don't put that out there. Don't you dare do it. Okay. Fair enough. I'm not going to be the one to do it. But I'm going to tell you something. The national reporter that you have no control over, it's about to happen. So you want the inside thing, and that's how a lot of this shit works. And because BK and you can't shut down national media. The only person that was able to somewhat do it would be Nick, but that's because he had Chris Lowe, and people didn't want to walk on Chris Lowe's toes. And really and truthfully, none of the shit was true until Chris Lowe said it was true anyway. Because for whatever reason, Chris Lowe had that. He was Saban's reporter. I know that's a little tangent, but it's also the truth. Bilbo Baggins says, friendly reminder that LSU will not face anyone from the SEC in regional play. That's true. We do not maybe we do pretty well out of conference. Yeah, we have historically in the past. Are y'all laughing at this because I said they got donkey deed? Steven says, do you have faith in Bo Davis? 1,000% I got faith in Bo Davis. I just don't think it's real. Like, I don't think it's realistic for anybody to think that he can get two of the top four. Because, guys, again, you got Texas, you have Alabama, you have Oklahoma. Who are some other teams that have offered these guys? Hold on. Auburn, A&M, USC. Let me get some of these lists. Hold on one second. Let me look at like CJ West. I got it right here on the dashboard. Oklahoma, Missouri, Texas, Colorado, LSU, Oregon. So let's go to Dominic Williams. SMU, UCLA, Kansas State, Texas A&M, Auburn, Oregon, LSU, Texas. Borrow, the same four, pretty much. And Alabama's thrown in there. So Tennessee's thrown in there. So I will just throw this out to you. I mean, you have really, really good teams that are going after these guys. And I think that Texas is going to try to get one. Oklahoma, there are a lot of teams that want them. And there might be a team like Miami who comes into the picture and just out of nowhere plucks one of these dudes because they're going to pay them. And I think that, so, and he didn't really say this, But did y'all? I don't know if y'all heard Josh Pate's video with Mario Cristobal. He all but said he was going to be active in the Miami portal. I mean, in the spring portal. Miami will. Meaning Cristobal told him that. So I do not. I think it's unrealistic for you to get 4 or 2 of the top 4. If you're considering CJ West in that 4, okay, then yes, maybe you could. But I there's so many people arguing about CJ West and him being in the top 4 of DTs because of the kid from Louisville. So yeah, I have a lot of faith in him. A lot of faith in him. Cortland Jacobs says, you still got the Aggies ahead of you. That's true. And that's a big roadblock, but you have 2 sweepable series too. Yeah, you got it. You got to sweep this one. You got to sweep Auburn. And if you can't, then, if you sweep one, you can technically lose to Texas A&M. But can Texas A&M come on the road and beat you? It's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough. They're a good team. They're a really good team. H-Town Creole says, word is that LSU was going to pay Mason and Mekhi Wingo big bags of cash to return, so that freed up. When they declared can't lose a Fisk to FSU like last season. Yeah, and look, so I'm glad that H-Town Creole brought that up. Please go to a year ago's shows. Please. I even put it on our message board. Go look at our message board, ayssnetwork.com, $7 a month. Go do it. Guys, I was begging, pleading for Braden Fisk. Told you that I think that Braden Fisk would not be a rotational player. And he wouldn't have been. If you get Barrow or you get Williams, you get really good, so much better in the interior. And you know who it affects more than anybody? It affects Harold Perkins. It affects you as a team, no doubt. It really frees up Harold Perkins. This show turned into a football one very quickly. It's okay. I'll always talk football. Christian Burr says, Blake, what about the Houston DT? He's solid. Yeah, I can't say that young man's name. That's who they are putting at 4. I can't say his name to save my life. I would try. I would butcher it. I think he can play. Some people believe that there might be a D lineman at Tulane that would enter. But that has not come to fruition. Now he's got, more than a week, because Tuesday will be a week, and then he's got a whole nother week from Tuesday. So you never know, man. And I would expect that some of these teams are going to miss on some people, and you're going to see a random late guy hit the portal and be like, why in the hell is this guy going to portal? Why in the hell does he have a do not contact? Oh, well, shit, he's going to Auburn? By the way, they said Auburn about to make a big old splash in recruiting. They said, here comes Hugh Freeze. It's what the streets are saying. It's what the streets are saying. I don't know if the streets are always right, but the streets be knowing. Let me tell y'all a quick story. Boy, we get in the weeds tonight. I don't know how in the hell we got here. Let me tell you a quick story. There was a former head coach at LSU, and there was a story that came out about him. And it put that coach in a negative light. Okay. And the person who broke the news had to write a retraction. And the person that originally reported it, wind up being true. Confirmed to be true because he talked to multiple people and they gave it to him. All of that to say, I do not miss those days. Oh, God. Pete says that everything went right tonight. 100%. 100%. You did not have the lacklusterness. You got a lot of breaks. And look, you hit the ball fucking hard tonight. A pause. But you hit it hard tonight. Anthony B. Saint says, I heard it was around $1.5 million they were willing to pay. That's not true. That's not true. James Washington says, what about the UCLA DT? Didn't he put a no contact on his thing today? A lot of people had speculated that he might go to USC with his DC. Let's see what happens there. Guys, I tell you, anytime a kid hits the portal, it's all hell breaks loose. You know, let me – okay, here's a story for you. This one's recent. A kid went in the portal last year. I reached out to him and said, hey, man, I need to confirm something with you. I heard that you're going here. He doesn't respond. So I'm like, okay, well, he's going there. He doesn't want me to break the story, whatever. He responds the next morning, okay, like at 6:30 in the morning. He goes, yeah, I was going there, but I'm not going there anymore. Next thing that I know, you know, he told me that he had planned to go to a school in the SEC, wind up being in another SEC school and the portal. But this was not a spring portal. It was fall. It was December portal. And I'm like, okay. So then I called someone at LSU and they confirmed it. And I was like, all right, here we go. And I'm talking about a big time. These two schools have been the biggest teams in the SEC that battle for a guy. But I'm not, you know. So, yeah. Yellowwood money, says Chance. Yeah, talking about Auburn. Cortland says that Auburn was flipping players with bags before they hired Freeze. I was just making a joke, Cortland. I was just making a joke. He also says LSU going to add another title tomorrow. Yeah, solid favorites. Yeah, you're right. I got to admit, man, gymnastics is not a thing that I know much about. I'm sorry. I apologize. I probably should. I just don't really. There are a lot of people that do. I just don't understand it. I mean, I understand the premise. I understand, you know, like I don't know what's a good score and not a good score. I really don't. I really, 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 really don't. Brian Jackson says Hakeem, like Elijah won, Elijah. Okay. Elijah. How about that? Is that how you say his last name? Elijah. Brian, I appreciate it. I was struggling, man. I struggle with the names so bad. You know, if you've ever listened to Brian Kelly and people make fun of him about, you know, missing names really bad, I have never come on the show and made fun of him about it because I do it all the time too, man. I am horrible with them. I'm good in so many other areas. I'm just not good with names. Like, it takes me a while. I don't know why. I can remember a first name, but it's something that I've really, really, really had to work on in my career. It's tough for me. Jackie Caruso says, how about them LSU gymnastics team? Yeah, going for it tomorrow. And Oklahoma's out, if I'm not mistaken, right? Damian Briggs says, why do you think Louisiana is not having the same DT talent they had a few years ago? It's just not there. I think some of them are moving to the offensive line because, and this is what happens, man, it's cyclical, okay? When offensive linemen started getting paid the way that they got paid, it turned a lot of them. There's a reason you're seeing better offensive line play in a lot of different areas. Now, there's freaks out there on the defensive line, no doubt. But you see guys like Quentin Nelson. You see guys Zach Martin. I mean, like, I'm trying to think of some BK guys. And it's just a position group that Brian Kelly wants. I mean, it's what he's been known for. But you just haven't had the DTs. But some would argue, I mean, you just had a 5-star DT and then Gabe Rutherford. So maybe you had in the last couple of years, and then you got Jakeem Stewart, who was the number 1 overall player in next year's class. And he's a defensive lineman from LSU. So you just don't have the quantity, but you certainly, I can make the argument, have the quality. Todd says Blake Hakeem has only 27 career tackles. Yep, but he has more than 7/8 of our defensive. Kimo McAnole has 0. Kimo McAnole has 0. Sean Washington has 0. What was I looking for? Oh, Jacobian Guillory stats. I don't even think Jacobian Guillory has a sack in his career. He's got a half a sack. Jacobian Guillory had 27 tackles last year on the dot. Half a sack in 2021. Damn, dude. Only has 2 tackles for loss. Who are some other? Sean Washington? I really don't think Sean Washington's got a stat. No stats. I'm sorry. He's got 1 career tackle. We know Kimo doesn't. Jalen Lee. Jalen Lee has 21 career tackles. He's got more tackles for loss than Jacobian Guillory, and more sacks, and more pressures, and more hurries, and more forced fumbles. Oh, did y'all hear that? Hey, did y'all hear that? Damn. My neck just, damn. Neck sounded like it was in a Snoop Dogg music video. Popped it like it's hot. Jordan Strahan says, I think the girls falling off the beam hurt them. Yeah, probably did. I was watching it. Chance Babin says, thoughts on the 2-minute timeout rule college football is implementing this year. Yeah, we talked about it. I don't understand the 2-minute warning. Why are you doing so? Chance, let me say this. So today it was officially announced, even though it had been announced. We had talked about this somewhat religiously on Ruffino and Joe show. Here is my thought on the 2-minute warning and the radios in the helmets. Radios in the helmets are going to be a cheat code, but I gotta call out the NCAA and the people who run college football for being total freaking hypocrites. You went to a running clock last year in games to shorten them down, right? You told me it helps player safety to keep a running clock, and it's not that many plays that get missed. Then you add in a 2-minute warning to get more TV timeouts in these games. So which one is it? Do you want to shorten the game and shorten the length? Is it about safety and it's about fan consuming games so that they're shorter? And now you just added 10 more minutes of gameplay for commercials. I think you're a joke. I think that you come up with this shit as you go on the seat of your pants leg. Let's do a 2-minute warning to get more to get more ad revenue. ESPN's asking us to give a 2-minute warning so they can go to more timeouts. You're sellouts. 1 year, guys, I told you this. They're going to make it look like the NFL more and more each year. It's going to be death by 1,000 cuts. They're not going to implement it all at once. Death by 1,000 cuts. Don't give me the Jacobian hadn't had a good DC thing. Don't do that. Don't do that. Doesn't negatively affect. It does negatively affect. Let me tell you how it negatively affects. Because nobody was calling in college football for shorter games. Maybe we were talking about it on CBS because CBS, it took them forever. But, guys, they're trying to make it more like the NFL, and they're only doing it in steps. You told me, you literally told me that it was for fans consuming and to shorten games. Then you're adding 10 minutes of TV timeouts. Now it helps a guy out like me because I can come in here. We do a lot of these post games, and I can get set up and get ready. So, yeah, thank you for me. I should love them. On field, it's stupid. Excuse me. It's stupid. That's what I think about it. That belch I just let out. That's what I think about it. All right. It's 10:01. Christian Burr says, if worse comes to worse, tell Brad to give him some more. Yeah, not good. I do wonder if Weston Davis, I really do think Weston Davis is athletic enough to go over there. I really do. Brad ain't going to give him up, though. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. All right. We'll see y'all later, man. Y'all have a good one. Peace.